Round and round and round they go. Where the ACC stops, nobody knows. Once you push that first domino, it's only a matter of time before all the chips start to fall. What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. So the original plan for today's video was I was going to be coming on here and talking about the Florida State hype, the Florida State football program, the Florida State football team in 2023 and beyond, not only nationally, but in the ACC. But as luck would have it, Florida State has made the news in the past couple of days over the past weekend for different reasons, and so has Clemson. So we're going to talk about that today instead because it's relevant in the current news cycle. I'll do the Florida State football hype video and give my thoughts on that at a later date. So unless you've been living under a rock, over the weekend, Florida State athletic director made it publicly known, put the ACC on notice, expressed their displeasure with the state of the ACC and where they fit in the ACC. And what do you mean by displeasure, Pete? What's it always about? Come on now. What's it always about? It's all about the Benjamins, baby. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. And the Benjamins in the ACC, when you look around the country, especially in the next 3 or 4 years, just ain't going to cut it. It just ain't going to cut it. There has been over 10 years of bad decision after bad decision after bad decision by the ACC leadership that's led to this breaking point. Now, it's not just so easy for Florida State or Clemson or anybody else who wants to leave the conference to just pick up and leave. And the reason is because of the bad TV deal that was made. The TV deal was a 20-year TV deal. That's right, 20 years. It was signed with ESPN/Disney back in 2016. And it runs, obviously, 20 years through 2036. Part of that deal was the deal for Disney to carry the ACC network. And along with that agreement, every single university in the ACC had to sign a grant of rights deal. Which, what that means is, if Florida State or Clemson or anybody else in the ACC said, you know what, we've had it up to here and we're not going to take it anymore, deuces, we're out, we're going independent, baby. Well, you can do that if you want to. But even as an independent football team, you still owe the ACC your revenue. They own you, son. So it wouldn't benefit you one bit to go independent for a couple of years until you find your footing and then maybe try to weasel your way into another conference. It wouldn't do you any good. First of all, you couldn't afford it. You wouldn't be getting any revenue. It'd all still be going to the ACC. So there's a couple of different angles here. There's only a few ways out of this. If you truly are, and you're not just blowing smoke, if you truly are planning an exit from the ACC, it's going to take a little bit of time, and you're also going to need some help. One thing that could happen, but probably won't, I don't know why this particular party would allow this to happen, is a renegotiation of the TV contract. That'd be great for every team in the ACC. I don't know why Disney or ESPN would even consider it. They've got a great deal. They've got us locked in at this crappy price, a great price for them, all the way until 2036. So why in the hell would they change that? The more likely scenario, in my opinion, is that these schools, namely Clemson and Florida State, and maybe some other ones will jump on board here too, like Miami, other big football brands, is that you start what you call a 4 or 5 year exit strategy. And you start it right now. Why is that important? Well, the grant of rights deal, the buyout for it, goes down exponentially each season between now and the end of the contract, end of 2036. Over the weekend, the Florida State athletic director even said as much as, if we have to, if this is what it comes down to, then we feel like within 4 years or so, we will be able to make an exit happen. Now, it won't be easy. It's a lot of money even 4 years from now, but it's more manageable. Also, you would need some outside help. What do you mean by that? Well, for example, if Florida State wants to go join the SEC and the SEC is willing to bring them on, maybe they can come to an agreement together. Hey, you help us with this grant of rights buyout. We don't have all the cash right now. Let's split it 50-50. And then over the next 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years, whatever they decide, you can take a little bit of our cut until you're paid back. And then we're all good. Now, that's a long-term solution, not a short-term solution. So some of the other things that have been discussed by both Graham Neff, the athletic director, and Clemson and the Florida State athletic director is a change of the revenue sharing in the ACC. Now, this is a bad idea. Well, I mean, okay, is it fair that 3 or 4 teams in the entire conference fund the entire conference, but they get the same amount of money as the rest of the teams in the conference? Well, probably not. That's how all the other conferences work, though. I mean, Vanderbilt gets the same payout that Georgia and Alabama do. But, so they propose we should get a bigger chunk of the pie, right? So take money away from programs like Wake Forest and Duke, or whatever. I'm just throwing names out there. It doesn't even really matter which one it is. But take money away from these other programs and put it in our pocket. We'll take an extra $15 million a year from you if it benefits us. That's great. That is not a long-term solution. And by the way, it's not good for the conference. It might be good for you in the short term, and it may help you save up some money to buy. And I think that's what this is all about. That's what I think this is all about. They want more money over the next 4 or 5 years so they can sock that away and put it towards their buyout in 2027 or 2028. That's the only thing that makes any sense to me, because from a conference perspective, it just doesn't make any sense. Last but not least, and this is totally possible. This is completely possible. This could end up in litigation. It most likely will. If they're serious about what they're saying and they're serious about exiting, this could end up in court. And this could be overturned, this whole grant of rights thing. If that would be the linchpin. If that were to happen, you would most likely see the ACC fall apart, at least as far as football is concerned. I don't know. They might become a Big East type basketball conference or whatever. But if the grant of rights gets shot down in the court of law, you're going to see a mass exit from the ACC, especially from the top tier football programs, Miami, Florida State, Clemson, and maybe even a couple of others. So that is probably the most likely. A lot of times these types of contracts and stuff are overturned in court. So it's not unusual and it's definitely not impossible. So there's your different scenarios. Most likely scenarios, in my opinion, number 1, court case overturned. Number 2, save up money for the next 4 or 5 years until the grant of rights buyout gets low enough to where either you yourself can afford to buy yourself out or you and said conference that you're going to helps with that. That's the different scenarios. It would be a shame. It would be a shame to see the ACC dissolve, whether it's next year or 5 years from now or 10 years from now. It would be a shame. But like I said, the ACC has nobody to blame other than themselves for this. And it's a really, really bad look when your 2 blue chip programs currently, the ones that generate the mass amount of revenue for the conference, are basically threatening you. It's not a good look. And the ACC is between a rock and a hard place right now. Ain't going to hurt my feelings none. I promise you that. If they announce tomorrow that if Clemson came out tomorrow and said, look, we're putting this plan in motion. We've got a 4-year exit strategy. By 2028, we're out of here. It wouldn't hurt my feelings at all, right? I grew up watching ACC football because I've always been a Clemson fan and they've always been in the ACC. So, yeah, a little bit nostalgia there. But I do not want to sit back with some sort of loyalty to the ACC and watch every other major football program in America excel and watch my team or the teams in my conference take a back seat, an even bigger back seat that they already have. So it wouldn't hurt my feelings one bit. Let me know what you guys think about this. Do you think this is going to end up in court? What do you think? I think before 2030, at least Clemson and Florida State will not be ACC teams anymore. That would be my guess. Let me know what you think in the comment section.